Welcome to today's video. This is a B2 level ESL lesson, and today we're going to be writing about statistics and data. So what can you say? Look at the chart and what information does it provide? So we have the percentage of people by age group in 2010 who read printed novels, at least one per year, and their age ranges. So what can you say about the information presented? Well, it looks like people in the 55 to 69 age group have the lowest percentage of reading printed novels, but the people in the 70 to 84 group have the highest. Reading printed novels starts fairly high between ages 0 to 12 and then declines steadily all the way through ages 55 to 69, but then at age 70 to 84 it takes a big spike upward. Okay, the rise of the ebook. This chart contains information from 2 different years. Read the short article, and according to the data, is the information in the article correct? And the chart is showing the percentage of people by age group who read printed novels at least one per year in 2010 and 2018. So the printed books in 2018 are in the dark blue, and the printed books in 2010 are in the orange. So it's clear that printed and paper books are probably going to disappear. With the rise of the internet and the introduction of the electronic book, we can see the slow decline of paper novels. From 2010 to 2018, there was a decrease across all age groups. In particular, the number of children aged 0 to 12 who read paper books decreased significantly. The decrease was even larger from the 13 to 24 group. Interestingly, the smallest decrease was in the 55 to 69 group. So here they're showing a large decrease, very large decrease, and then the decrease tapering off. But it has decreased across all groups. So read the sentences, look at the words in bold, and find another expression with a similar meaning. The number of users rocketed from 1,000 to 20 million in just 3 weeks. Went up quickly. Over a period of 10 years, the number of readers decreased by 30%, went down. In only 2 years, the amount of money spent on smartphones increased significantly. So went up. The number of users on the app has remained constant for 6 months. It stayed the same. And since last year, the number of users has plummeted. It's went down very quickly. So what do employers want? If you have to hire people, these are some of the qualities that you might look for. The ability to work unsupervised, computer skills, communication skills, ability to multitask, and company loyalty. And which is the most important quality for an employer? So in the comments, you can put your ideas about which of these qualities are the most important down to the least important. 1,000 employees were asked if a skill was essential for employment. The same question was asked in 3 different years. According to the graph, are the following statements true or false? There is a period of 15 years between the oldest data and the newest data. So between 1990 and 2015, it's actually more than 15 years. It would be 25 years. So that one is false. In 2015, company loyalty is not as important as it was in 1990. That would be true. In 1990, company loyalty is the blue line here, but in 2015, it's much lower. Since 2000, the need for computer skills has increased. So computer skills way down here in 2000, but in 2015, yes, it's gone up significantly. Employers in 2015 were looking for people who can work alone and without supervision. Okay, yes, I would say that's true. That one is fairly high. And 25 years ago, computer skills were not very important. Today, almost all employers are looking for these skills. So computer skills back in 1990 were not very important. And yes, today, or back in 2015, at least they were almost all looking for those skills. Okay, so the article starts with a statement that describes the graph in words. In the next paragraph, the writer mentions the main points you can find from the data. This bar chart shows the percentage of employers who felt that 5 key skills were essential for employment in 1990, 2000, and 2015. As you can see, being able to work without supervision, using a computer, and multitasking were viewed as significantly more important in 2015 than in 1990. In contrast, company loyalty was seen as considerably less valuable at the end of the 25-year period, while the importance of communication skills remained stable. In contrast links two sentences. Does the author use in contrast to describe similar things or different things? Well, in contrast is used to describe different things. It is common to describe data using the passive voice. Can you find an example of the passive voice in the second paragraph? Okay, so using a computer and multitasking were viewed as significantly more important, and company loyalty was seen. So both of those are passive voice. The percentage of employers who thought that the ability to work unsupervised was essential went up slightly, from 30% to 40% between 1990 and 2000. By 2015, it had risen dramatically to 80%, with many employers commenting that the ability to work remotely, as well as independently, is more important than ever before. In 1990, only 20% of employers believed that computer skills were essential. It comes as no surprise that by 2015, the figure had increased to 90%. The trend with multitasking followed a similar pattern, rising from 25% in 1990 to 75% in 2015. This is despite the fact that recent research shows that focusing on one task at a time actually makes employees far more productive. So the writer uses different ways to describe increase. Can you find two other verbs with a similar meaning to increase? Well, went up and risen. The adverb slightly appears in the first sentence. Why does the author use this word? Well, because the increase was only 10 percentage points, which might be considered a smaller increase. And why does the author use this adverb? And what about the verb dramatically? Dramatically means that it went up a large amount. There's some extra information in this article that is not in the graph. Can you find two examples? Well, that the ability to work remotely as well as independently is more common than ever before. And this statement, the research shows that focusing on one task at a time actually makes employees far more productive. And why does the author use the expression, it comes as no surprise? Well, this would be an expression to mean that what happened is just what you would have expected to happen. So it's not something that happens unexpectedly. And what does the author think the reader already understands from looking at the data? Um, well, that you could see from the chart the importance of computer skills and how it's changed over the years. And here's the final part of the article. In 1990, 90% of employers valued company loyalty. In 2000, this figure was only 75%, and by 2015 it had fallen to 50%. These days, employees are far more likely to show loyalty to their careers than their company. The percentage of employers rating community skills are essential, rating communication skills, sorry, let me start that again. The percentage of employers rating communication skills as essential remained at 80% throughout the period, although many employers commented that the way in which communication takes place changed a great deal. In 1990, most communication took place by phone and mail. By 2015, there were far more options available, and communicating effectively required a wider range of skills. The opposite of increase is decrease. Which verb does the author use to show a decrease? Well, fallen. Which percentage did not change over the three periods? And what verb does the author use to show this? Well, it's this orange. And he uses the word remained. That was communication skills and remained. The author provides extra information about changes in communication. Why? Well, maybe to help show the reader things that aren't obvious from the chart. That may be important information, but not possible to show in a chart form. And the author writes that employers value company loyalty. Can you explain what value is? Well, in this context, it means that they think that it's important. All right, so now use some information to write the sentences. So here's one example. 2004, 22% of people were reading ebooks, and today it's up to 67%. So the sentence that you could write for that would be the number of people reading ebooks has increased considerably since 2004. So go ahead and try the rest of these, and you can put your sentences in the comments if you would like some feedback. And here are a few more. Again, use the information to write some sentences. And now write some sentences about Bellevue and try to use some of the words provided. So, for example, the number of children aged 12 and under increased dramatically between 1985 and 2015. So go ahead and make sentences and use these adverbs. All right, we're looking at a chart and some extra information about the number of sports teams in Bowley. So we're looking at soccer, baseball, and basketball. The dark blue represents the year 2000. So in 2000, baseball was the most popular sport, followed by basketball, then by soccer. Then in 2015, the percentages of soccer had increased slightly. Baseball had decreased quite a bit, and basketball had increased significantly. A new indoor sports center with 6 basketball courts and an indoor soccer field was completed in mid-2011. Since 2012, money has been given to the school to form female soccer teams. And this extra information kind of explains why we're seeing what we're seeing in the chart. So now you're going to write about sports in Bowley using the information provided. There's a new indoor sports center with basketball courts and indoor soccer pitch completed in mid-2011. Since 2012, money has been given to the school to form female soccer teams. So your first draft, you're going to first write a sentence that explains the data in general. What is the chart about? Next, what is the main point that you can make about the data? Write a sentence or two about more specific details, and then using the information provided, can you interpret the data in some way? So here's some things that you want to look for in your writing. Is there a sentence that explains the data in general? What is the main point about the data? Are there sentences that provide more specific details? Has the author included the extra information that wasn't in the data? So does the following writing contain some of the following language? Increase, decrease, rise, go up, go down, fall, slightly, dramatically, considerably, etc. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.